Hey everyone, this is Isaac. I'm CEO at Trullion, and today on AI Accounting Intelligence, we'll be talking with real people about real things related to AI and the impact on the accounting industry. Stay tuned. All right, hey everyone, welcome to Accounting Intelligence, our podcast. I'm Isaac Heller, CEO founder of Trullion. And I'm really excited today because I've got a new friend, Inna Kogan, visiting us to talk with us today. Inna, you want to say hi? Just introduce yourself really quickly.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Inna. Currently, I'm part of accounting team at Amazon, and I drive finance transformation. And super excited to be here to share my story and some tips for people who are passionate about finance, accounting, and innovation.
Amazing. Well, I'm really excited today. Ian and I were talking earlier about how much we both love podcasts. And of course, Accounting Intelligence is a podcast, another podcast. And people ask me, who's going to listen to another podcast? I actually asked that of myself, like who wants to have another podcast or even a podcast about accounting? But Ina, it's interesting. People actually listen to this because, well, there's two reasons. I don't know which one is the most true, but there's two reasons. One is because they get CPE credit. And two is because I think we have conversations with really interesting people with real life stories about, and experiences about what it's like to be an accountant. So really excited for everyone today. I'll just give a little bit of a preview. Ina, I started seeing you online on LinkedIn, and I thought that what you were posting about how you were innovating at your job and as an accounting professional was really interesting and innovative, especially using AI and how you were trying new prompts and stuff. And so we became friendly and caught up and had some mutual interests. I think that for people today, what's great, Ina, about you is you now work at one of the biggest technology companies in the world, but are also able to maintain that innovative accounting, business oriented flavor at that company. So this innovation comes in all ways. It's entrepreneurship, it's intrapreneurship, at big companies, it's big four, non-big four, all that stuff. So that's a little preview for today. But before we get to all that, you've got an amazing story. I believe you're in London these days. Is that
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay. I won't blow your cover too much more, but tell us a little bit about how you got to London and into this accounting world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I changed roles and countries. Let me talk a little bit about it and how my career evolved. So I started very traditionally in audit and in Big Four and was super focused on details and technical accounting to the point that one of my clients called me a walk-in IFRS book. And I took it as a compliment at the time. And after a while in audit, I was looking for other opportunities. I enjoy technical accounting, enjoy being, and at the time I moved as part of audit work. I also got a chance to move to London, and it kind of opened a completely different world for me. And I was looking for new opportunities. I enjoyed being this go-to person, technical accountant. So I joined this newly formed advisory team at Deloitte. When I joined, there were just literally 2 or 3 people with really small team, but growing very fast with big vision, big ambition. So it was kind of an internal startup. And it was super exciting. I think that had a big influence on my career and my mindset, because I also learned how to build things from scratch, how to grow the business, what it's like to build client relationships, how to build your propositions, and how to even figure out different ways of working. So that was really exciting time to be part of that team and growth. And as the business was growing and the complexity and the size of the projects, I started using BI tools and automation to just cope with that new scale and complexity and workload. And at that point, it kind of hit me that how powerful automation can be, especially in that growth and fast-paced environment. And that eventually led me to Amazon, because I thought, okay, it's great to be an accountant. I want to be a good accountant, but I also want to understand how systems work, how accounting function works in a big company. And obviously, Amazon was a great place to learn how modern tech-focused finance and accounting team can operate. And yeah, it was also amazing experience, and it became my day job to think how to use various technologies and tools to get numbers, accurate numbers, fast at that crazy Amazon scale. So kind of learned a lot about automation, about different systems and tools, and also how to build teams that innovate, how to create the right environment, and how to also lead teams through significant change and growth. Yeah, so that's pretty much kind of short my story, shifting from technical accounting to actually building accounting function and systems and teams behind it. And yeah, something I'm very passionate about.
Amazing. Well, it's funny to condense so much time and so much work into, a few minutes. But so is our career trajectories and stuff. I think it would be fun to kind of unpack and go deeper into some of those areas, right? We've got London, we've got Deloitte, we've got Amazon, we've got big projects, we've got all types of things. Maybe one place to start is you said you moved to London. Can you share, where did you move from, or how did you get to London? Where were you
I originally
before?
am from Russia, so I started in Deloitte in Moscow. It was very, very long time ago. It was very different time, and uh, Deloitte in Moscow got acquired by UK office, and UK office opened these opportunities for secondment. And yeah, I thought, and that's one of the advantages of working for a big international company, is that you can go and work in different places and experience completely different environment. Yeah, and
So
obviously, yeah, that was great opportunity.
that's amazing because I feel like there are people out there that are listening or thinking about their career. Look, the truth is, I'm sitting in New York right now. You're sitting in London. I think it's everywhere in the world, always and forever. There's anxiety about what people want to do when they grow up. I'm 40 now. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. But you can imagine someone who's maybe in college or high school or at the end of university or maybe earlier in their career, right? There's a lot of people who want to figure out how to get to London. Some of them want to figure out how to get out of London. Some of them want to figure out how to get to Deloitte. Some of them want to figure out how to get out of Deloitte. Everyone's at a different path. Do you feel like Deloitte and the accounting industry was kind of your ticket to maybe you wanted to go to London. I don't know. Some people want to go to Moscow, right? But like, was Deloitte the path for you? And then I would also ask, do you think it still has that path, or if things changed, over time with accounting firms?
Yeah, absolutely. I was always thinking about it, and was thinking that Deloitte was always bigger than just a job for me, because it changed my life in a way and opened so many doors and so many opportunities. And sometimes we underestimate it. And yeah, I still think it is relevant. And when you join a big company like Deloitte, I think the biggest advantage is that you have immediate access to absolutely insane network of people. And this is something I wish I understood early in my career. And with obviously remote working, I think it's becoming a little bit harder, but as we all going back to the office and the way we work is changing, I definitely would say if you join a big company like Deloitte, any other big four, another accounting firm, take advantage of that network, because you can learn so much from different people, and eventually you can pivot your career and change things that you're doing. It doesn't really matter where you start. Uh, those companies provide a lot of opportunities to do different things and move to different places. So I absolutely would recommend taking advantage of that.
Interesting. I'm gonna think a little bit more of that because I like to take advantage of kind of those early days. I think it's interesting because you also mentioned remote work. Things have changed a lot in the past 5, 10 years. And also even I think with AI, there's gonna be it makes remote work easier, in certain ways. But I just remember when I was kind of starting my career, we ate lunch with our colleagues. Like we didn't even in London they have Deliveroo, in New York they have DoorDash. Like we didn't even
Yeah.
have it come to us. Like I would go with a colleague, we would have our little badges, and we would go across the street for. I'm from Texas, so like Texas barbecue or something like that. And I wonder if that culture is still around, or there's a little bit left. And so my question to you and maybe to myself would be, what are some suggestions of how people can maintain those connections? They're at Deloitte. Like what should they do? Should they go to lunch? Should they reach out on Microsoft Teams, happy hours? I don't know. Where do you start?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend taking any opportunity that allow you for in-person interaction, because yeah, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of remote working. I think it's good to have flexibility, and yeah, with technology we can work from everywhere, but that personal connection is so important in the work that you're doing, and building those long-term relationships. So definitely, if you just starting your career, I would definitely recommend coming to the office, sitting. When I was at Deloitte and we were building that small advisory team, I remember how we often, so we were advising clients on different kind of transactions. So often we will work with lawyers, tax, bankers, whatever our clients were going through. We were there to support them through those difficult and complicated transactions. So we were working with very wide range of stakeholders. And I remember we used to just go and sit in different departments. I will sit with tax or corporate finance or legal team, just to, even to hear the conversations, to understand how people work and think. And eventually you build those informal, have those informal conversations. So all these small things, that definitely made a huge difference. And I think now we just need to be more intentional about it. And if I'm starting work in a new company, for example, when I started working at Amazon, it was in the middle of a pandemic, and I found it really hard to do it remotely. So I was coming to the office almost every day, because I could meet some people who were there just to and feel the culture and how people work and what are the norms are. And yeah, I think those personal interactions are super important.
I think that's awesome. And I always say when I started Trullion, I mean we're trying to use AI to help empower accounting teams. And I worked on an accounting team. I was on the corporate side. I never worked on the audit side. But I think that when you go on this entrepreneurial journey, and also if you're building a project at Amazon or Google or whatever it is, you really have to know your customers, right? Who
Yes.
who you're working with. And people think, "Oh, I know him. We had a Zoom," or I know Bobby. Yeah, we've talked on Zoom a few times. But I always say, like when I came up, I knew where the accounting team sat. I knew what their desks looked
Yes.
like. I knew their kids' pictures were or whatever it is. And I always joked, I know what they like to order to drink. Like I know, and you understand the personality of someone through your one-on-one interaction with what they like to order to eat, what they like to drink, what their family, and you don't see those in the kind of remote world as much. So that's one, and that's just an exciting thing about living. And then you mentioned culture. Um, I feel like I'm a Texan suburban kid, and so when I started to work for a global company, it was like the first time I ever met someone from Bangalore or Kiev or Montevideo, and that was really fun for me, and I felt like it broadened my mind and helped me build empathy, and even when you hear about the news or global politics or whatever, you can have more empathy and relate to things more the more you know. And so I think that's really interesting. So just maybe that's the feel good side of things. I don't know how much it helps you, but Deloitte and these Amazon, those are amazing companies to have those networks. Have you found that do you speak Russian?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And you still speak regularly,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
okay,
Yeah. It's
amazing.
my native language. So yeah.
Native language. Okay. So did you find that speaking Russian was applicable in Deloitte? Like, did you work with maybe more energy companies? Is it applicable at Amazon? Has it helped you on the professional side, or it's mostly just been, another language,
To be honest, not that much. Yeah, I never focused on, yeah, Russian companies. It's good to have that network. Sometimes you do meet people who speak Russian, and yeah, it's kind of nice to have that secret language with someone.
Secret.
But
Wait, splasiba.
спасибо, yeah.
Spasiba. That's all I got. That's all I got. My friend was from St. Petersburg, not Moscow, but I learned a few things along the way. So very nice. So
Yeah,
you didn't use it much?
I didn't use it that much in my work, but just having that experience of learning different languages and working in different cultures definitely, I think, helps you because you see how different people think, sometimes differently, and we often take something for granted. We work this way and this is how it is, but actually your colleague somewhere else can be working completely differently or thinking about something completely differently. So yeah, it really builds your empathy and understanding that there is just no one way. So yeah, that experience of changing countries is very important. And yeah, if you have an opportunity to go take a secondment even for a year or two, that will completely change the way you think because yeah, even how you see the world from different places is so different, right?
Amazing. So I got to ask, and then we'll go back to some accounting stuff. What is one difference that you can think of in Russian finance culture or even Russian culture and British finance culture? Like, what's one thing that, up means down, or something like that?
Oh my God, that's a tough one. It was really long time ago when I moved.
I mean, I
I
could
think
tell
at the
you,
yeah.
yeah, I find that certain uh, when I work with certain European countries, the closer they are to the beach, the longer it is to turn around a task. So, I'll be like, oh, let's get, I have a client in Barcelona, like let's schedule a call about this tomorrow. What about in 2 weeks? So I always find that funny. We're in America, even London a little bit. It's like, no, no, no. So what is there something that comes to mind? You can skip the question if you want.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's true. The pace is, when I started in Moscow was like, I don't know, 15 years ago, and it was such a different time. Deloitte probably was one of the first companies that started in Moscow, and they were developing the business. So a lot of my role, I was an auditor, but a lot of my role was about kind of educating and trying to bridge that Western standards with the reality in in Russia. So when I moved to London, it was a completely different job. And yeah, the pace was very different. You have to audit in a couple of weeks, while, in Russia that could have taken multiple months, sometimes years to get, finance and accounting books to that standard, Western standard. So yeah, it was completely different role when I switched countries.
Yeah, definitely. I think also we take for granted people in America, people in UK, people in Europe sometimes are much closer culturally. I spent a year in southern China, close to Hong Kong, close to Shenzhen, and that was a much different experience in terms of the professional side. But I think at the very least, like for me, it stretched my mind to realize that the world has many corners and so you really, I don't know, just don't assume that everyone works the same way. In UK they're a little bit better. I feel like it's more international, but in Texas where I'm from, everyone's like, we just learn English, and some people don't even get passports till later. So okay, so good. So Deloitte is kind of that great opportunity to open the eyes and open your world. You said something that was interesting. You said a good place to learn other languages. Okay. And I thought of like maybe at Deloitte, like some sort of big project you did or big initiative you did. I mean, tell us a little bit more about one of these big BI initiatives or things you did that you were really proud of. Did you use different languages, like coding languages or systems? Just an exciting project that you did when you were there.
Yeah, absolutely. One of probably projects I can talk about is that BI modeling tool that I built. So I was working a lot with companies that were going through transactions like M&A, IPO, or restructurings, and was helping them to plan those transactions. And usually what you need to do is to kind of model different scenarios and understand how your like balance sheet and consolidated accounts will look like. And sometimes as our projects were growing, we started with some small transactions, small structures, but then we went into working with some of the biggest companies, some of the biggest transactions, where you literally have to model hundreds of scenarios on a daily basis for groups of also hundreds of companies. So at some point I realized I can't do it manually anymore. I was like literally sitting at night, this classical account and picture crunching numbers on Excel and just pulling my head and thinking there must be a better way of doing it. And I collaborated with someone at the time. We had a new also BI team that was established in our group, which was a very smart move from the leadership, and that opened a lot of different opportunities. So I just talked to the BI person and say, hey, I have this problem. There must be a better way of doing it, and we just started experimenting with the different. We just used a simple BI tool, and that's what I often tell to people who are trying to innovate. You don't need to go and boil the ocean and build something super complicated using some very complicated technology. You have simple BI tools like, I don't know, Power BI or Macros, even simple as that, or Alteryx, Tableau. Just use one of those tools and build something that is simple and prove that is working. So yeah, we worked together, built like a small sort of prototype, and then started developing it. And eventually I used this tool for a very big transaction, which it would have been impossible to do it manually. And that really opened the door to different kind of projects and different kind of opportunities, and different sort of level of service that we can offer the clients. And yeah, after that we were thinking, okay, how to build it in a more structured, systematic way. So that was really kind of interesting experience of building something for for the first time.
Amazing. Yeah, people, when you have, I feel like if you get an opportunity, anyone, I'm saying if anyone gets an opportunity, you're thrown on a transaction, you're doing IPO prep, audit readiness, maybe internally you're thrown into a big project. Sometimes you could think, oh, I'm gonna have to read all these contracts or I'm gonna have to build all these models. But if you have the headspace and the time, it's just always a good opportunity to see what tools internally there are that you have access to. I mean, companies, a company of the scale of Deloitte and certainly the big companies I've worked at have all these licenses of software tools,
Yes.
and you'd be surprised how close to your fingertips it is. So I think that's really great. So you talked about BI, and let's move a little bit from BI to AI, right? The hottest topic today, how we started to kind of chat. When was the first time you either heard about AI in accounting, or maybe more broadly, heard about AI, played with AI? Can you remember, some of those early times where you got interested in it?
Yeah. Basically, when ChatGPT came out, yeah, obviously heard about like machine learning, and we used machine learning in some of the automations at Amazon, but it's very different to that AI experience that we have now. So I did experiment with machine learning previously, and working with engineers on different models and use cases, but yeah, the user experience is so different to the AI tools that we have right now. So yeah, probably was the first time when ChatGPT came out, and I was just experimenting with like chatbot and trying to write some simple emails, and yeah, obviously it was absolutely amazing when you could get something sensible out of it. And yeah, and it developed so quickly, right? We started with just writing some simple things to doing a lot of actual, day-to-day work using AI, which is incredible how quickly it all developed.
That's amazing. Yeah, ChatGPT, writing emails. I mean, in my experience, it was 2019, and actually, thanks to Amazon, I was inspired. Um, I had access through an AWS instance to Textract, which is
Mm,
one of the AWS tools that does document reading and entity recognition, kind of some OCR and NLP. And it was in 2019. AWS had just released Textract, and actually Google Cloud released their version of it. And I started playing on AWS Textract. And the use case at the time that they were showing was for medical records. So being able to look at a patient document and find the kind of the dates and the names, and really they're called entities, right? Name, the stuff like that. And I had just spent several years at a public software company and then private software company doing RevRec 606, and then leases. And the RevRec was like a lot of contracts and a lot of workbooks,
yes.
and the leases was a lot of contracts and a lot of workbooks. So I do owe it to Amazon and AWS for inspiring me on Textract. So that was 2019. Now, for those, I mean, a lot of people know the history of Trullion now, but the first use case was, could we take a lease document and then automate the subledger? And so you could go all the way from that document to the journal entry. And that was like really exciting for me because I'd been doing this stuff. I'd been reading these documents, I'd be building these spreadsheets and stuff. And so that was really exciting. That was 2019. And then 2020, 2021, I started going to these accounting conferences and audit conferences. We work with a lot of auditors now as well. And I talked about AI and I showed the use cases. And there was a lot of, it was either pushback or what we call in Texas crickets, right? Which is silence. And I felt like I was just talking out in the
Mm,
open. Like nobody was really
yeah.
listening or understanding. And so, there was COVID, so it was a little, but I was doing webinars. I was talking a lot about AI and accounting 2020, 2021, 2020, 2022. And our company was growing, but it wasn't until the end of 2022, it was about October, November, ChatGPT came out.
Yes,
And
that
that
probably was the moment, right?
correct. And so someone like Inna, you're actually very tech forward, but like your average, I would say your average accountant, lawyer, certain people, they're more conservative. And it wasn't until they started using it in their everyday life when they started getting more comfortable. So then in 2023 and 2024, boardrooms were saying, how are you using AI? And then of course it got down to the finance and accounting team. So that it's kind of fun to jump in 2019 in a certain way, but actually watch the journey, not just the technology, but the mindset and the mentality of AI. And I always wonder, when you were first playing with ChatGPT with emails, and maybe within a year or two, you're experimenting with it in your finance, practices. Were you ever worried about AI or scared of AI or distrusting of AI as an accountant, as an accounting professional?
I won't say that I kind of was worried, but it's one of the problems that we need to solve, right? Because in accounting profession, the trust and the accuracy is super important, and we need to find ways to maintain use AI at scale, but also maintain that level of trust and accuracy. And I think a lot of people are experimenting with that. There are different ways to solve it, but personal experience, I find that it definitely helped increase my productivity, and there are a lot more things that I can do. For example, write simple code, or write documents so quickly, or even some technical accounting analysis. You can just you can do much quicker.
Like what? You don't have to say what you're doing necessarily, but like what kind of technical accounting analysis is a good use case for
I
AI?
mean, any technical accounting analysis, right? Previously, you have to go through the book and find the right paragraph. Now, but again, if you know technical accounting, you can use AI, and you will be able to recognize when it gives you wrong answers or some wrong paragraphs, but you will get to the answer much quickly, right? And it doesn't matter even which question it is, and also it's much quicker to like put together a standard paper that we love to write in accounting. They're usually written in a very standard way, so again, something that
Like a memo?
yeah, exactly, like an
Yeah,
accounting
yeah.
don't right? It's so much easier, now you can just write it in a couple of hours and edit, and it's ready. Previously I don't know, it was taking a couple of days to do. But so it definitely helps in that my personal productivity. However, I think it's a different problem to solve, how to do it at scale, and how to make sure that the person who is using AI is able to recognize when it's not giving you the right output, that is able to correct it and give it the right context, and evaluate the result. And there are different ways of solving it. I think a lot of companies are experimenting. I know you also experimenting with that. So that is an interesting problem to solve. I don't think we there yet.
Yeah. I think you're right. And it's almost like we're in an what I would call a correction or an overcorrection in the AI hype cycle, where there was a lot of excitement. There still is a lot of excitement, but there was a study by MIT recently that only 5% of enterprise Gen AI projects succeed. 5%
Hmm.
succeed. So there's something about AI right now where there's a lot of pilots, but not
Yes.
necessarily a lot of full projects. And okay, so that's exciting. That's interesting. When we, at Trullion, like lease accounting was really successful for us because in general, lease accounting might be a small team or even person of technical accountants. And so, they were using documents or spreadsheets or a system, but when they take Trullion, it's a small focused team, and that's much easier to train on board. And the AI, it doesn't go to other teams, so you can
Mm.
control what's in and what's out as a technical accountant. When we started working with auditors, now we have a very fast growing side of the business where auditors like a Deloitte or other firms, actually a lot in London recently, are deploying Trullion, like, to roll it out for testing and financial statement validation and stuff like that. But even though the AI is better for audit, it's harder for adoption because there's 100 auditors, right? Or
Mm.
500 senior managers. And so, to your point, like, AI, when you're using ChatGPT to compose an email or ask a question about Buckingham Palace, it's one thing. But
Yeah.
when you're trying to roll it out to 100 people to create a baseline or a benchmark, it's really, really hard. And people don't talk about it enough. And maybe part of the reason was we got all excited about this magic wand called AI, and we thought it could just solve everything, but it actually needs to be bundled in some sort of user experience. So we found that a lot too. Maybe, like, on that note, what are some exciting projects or initiatives that either you've done at Amazon or thinking about doing? Obviously, things you can share, nothing you can't share. And how have you solved the challenge for rolling out your ideas at scale at a big company, and especially in a global remote company, probably?
Yeah. So starting with the kind of first part of that question, yeah, I am experimenting a lot with in my kind of daily work with the different tools and different use cases. What I'm really passionate about is uh, we have a lot of with the level of automation that we have a lot of data in accounting, right? And that is a reliable, clean data. And I feel there is an opportunity for accountants to leverage AI to better tell the story and extract better insights from the data and kind of go beyond compliance and provide better insights to the business for decision making or driving improvements and helping with the business growth. So that is something that probably not going to go into specifics, but that's something that I'm really interested in thinking, okay, how you can build that analytics that can give more insights and value to different parts of the business outside accounting and finance as well. So that's one of the areas. Also experimenting a little bit with like contract reviews and which is a big pain point, I think. And still, what we talked about, it's kind of big problem to figure out how that workflow can be applicable across so many different businesses and use cases and be reliable and sustainable. So that's definitely an interesting use case and a different interesting problem. And overall, I think with at this point, a lot of companies are realizing that we can't just continue working as we used to work before. And a lot of companies are actually challenging and encouraging their teams to go and experiment. So it's probably the best time to do it. And I would say, if you want to innovate or try something in a big company, just the best way is to just start small with some everyday problem that you have. I wouldn't try to invent something. You are already inside the big company. You know what are the big points are, or maybe your clients' big pain points if you are in Big Four in a consulting business, and then try to solve it on a small, with some small prototype and prove that it works. And once you can prove that something is working, then it helps to shift the mindset, and usually you get other people interested, and then it helps to develop it and make it bigger and scale it, and it always will then develop into something else. So it's always just starting small and proving that something is working.
Amazing. I love that. So, well, first of all, at Trullion, we have four core values. The first is think big. But sometimes I say start small, think big.
Yeah,
Think big, start small,
exactly.
right? So we always think about these grand ideas. But if you sit there thinking too much or too big or too long, you won't get started. So I love start small. Maybe let's wrap up with just one more quick topic. Um, you on LinkedIn, you talk about some of the ways you're innovating or some of the ideas that you have around AI, and a lot of times AI in accounting. What inspired you to speak up about this? Is it something that you enjoy? Is it something you think the world needs? Do you encourage other people to do that as well online?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend other people, because I think we are in this phase of there is so much change, so much uncertainty, right? And no one has the answers. And I think it is a way for people to just share experience and point of view, and ultimately help each other to navigate all of that is happening. At least that is the sense that I'm getting with, from a lot of people, because everyone is just trying to navigate this new reality. And the more we share our experience and what we're trying to do, I think it just helps. It just helps the community. And for me personally, it helps me to think through things when I write about something. So I try to just every couple of weeks think about something that I recently learned or something interesting that happened in this couple of weeks, and just write about it. And I think it helps me to kind of process it better and think about the next thing. So overall, it's for me, it's like a thinking mechanism, and also something that I would encourage other people to do, because the more we share with each other, the easier it is to navigate this new reality.
I love that. And also for anyone listening, on LinkedIn, I think you can find Inna, Inna space Kogan. If you enjoy hearing some of those tidbits, I hope it's okay. I give you a shout out,
Thank you.
but
No.
it's good. One of the things you said recently was you talked about accounting kind of as a window to the business. You talked about how often accounting knows before other people, and I think that's a really good inspiration, because as you get all this disruptive technology, it is going to change things, but then you can look at accounting through a new lens, which is, look, the corporate controller, the accounting team is one of the most, if not the most trusted partners in the organization to the CFO and ultimately to the CEO. And accounting covers the whole business. So if you're doing AI and sales, you only know sales, or customer service, you only know service call centers. But accounting, the AI can be applied as across the analysis of the whole business. So in theory, the more you can innovate in looking at the whole business, the more you can grow your organization and your skills and stuff like that in a way that other teams don't have. So I love that you talk about that. Just finish us on one thought or idea or inspiration for the group who's listening out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Since we were talking a lot about kind of innovation within big companies, just want to encourage everyone to just look at your daily work and see what your biggest challenges and pain points, and just try to use some simple tools, and to start experimenting, and and see where it takes you. It's very exciting time right now. Things are moving very fast, and it's probably the best time to start experimenting and trying something new.
Amazing. Well, you heard it here from Inna. And Inna, this was a great conversation. I'm glad we got to talk again. Thank you so much for joining us on Accounting Intelligence, and maybe we'll chat again soon.
Thank you. It was a great conversation. I really enjoyed it.